Breakdown of this basic belt system that is leaning more towards battle and training but can be used for competition. I'll name the items and cost first, and then I'll go in depth on why I chose them and specs. Haley Strategic D3 V1 belt, Esstac side-by-side 2+2 5.56 shorty Kiwi mag pouches, 4 Light MALICE clips. Safariland 2-inch CUBL mid-ride, Safariland Quick Kit 2 including a QLS 19 and QLS 22L Forge Concepts holster leg strap, T.REX Arms Ragnarok holster. All of the greens are either OD green or Ranger green. This is a basic training belt because it has the bare necessities and about halfway to a battle belt because it doesn't have any medical supplies on it. Although certain things like the mag pouches, the belt is more in the battle belt category, and the holster setup isn't completely optimized for competition. 2 inches wide, which is going to give a little bit more strength. It is Molle, which in my opinion is the best way to mount attachments to your belt. Keeps the attachments on the outer side so you can have as much adhesion as possible to your inner belt. 1-inch Molle spacing, so you're going to have no problems mounting any of your Molle attachments. Metal Cobra buckle up front, so it has very strong lockup, and you can also quickly release that as well. Inner belt is 1.75 inches, so it's going to fit most of the belt loops for your pants. It's not going to work for skinnier belt loops like dress pants. Using the Velcro hook and loop system on the inner belt and the outer belt to provide a strong adhesion together, and I haven't had any longevity issues with this breaking down over time. I really like this inner belt because there's no buckle at all, so it keeps it as slim as possible. It's very thin right in the middle where it overlaps, so it's not bulking out too much to where it's not being able to adhere to the outer belt. It adheres well. It's not pulling apart. It's a nice seamless look. It does hold very tight. I haven't had any problems with this coming loose. You would slide this through your belt loops, which is going to keep your pants tight on your body, and then your outer belt would then come around your belt loops and it would adhere to this, so it's not just relying on the tightness of the belt coming together, but it's actually adhering at a 360-degree angle around your body. The primary reason I chose this belt is because of the reverse closure system. Instead of it going on the outside, it closes back over on the inside, not having any excess or bulk material on the outside. The problem that causes is there's just extra material up front, but it also takes away some of your Molle slots up front that I personally use for a tourniquet. You could also put a multi-tool here, a boo-boo kit, an extra mag, all this extra Molle real estate up here because of the reverse closure system on the back side, which I think is a great design, and not many belt companies do that. They often just have the excess right here in the front or on the other side. This also provides 4 inches of adjustment, which is a good amount if you're switching between summer and winter loadouts. You might need that extra room of adjustment, and it is an easy adjustment. You just push the slack out this way. I'll pull the buckle towards the end, and now I have some extra length for whatever reason, if you're wearing different clothes or if it's different seasons of loadout. I had a lead devil belt that also had the reverse closure, but there was not nearly as much of adjustment, and I ended up growing out of the belt because there was only like 2 inches. This isn't an extremely rigid belt. It does have a decent amount of flex with body movements, and when you're running and it's bouncing up and down, it is going to flex a little bit, which is fine. You can still load this up with equipment. You can add a dump pouch and a med kit on the back side, knife, tourniquet, and then other doodads up front, and it still will be able to hold that weight. When you have it clipped together, it is going to lean and bend to each side. I personally don't care about that, because when it's on your body, if you have it tight enough, it is going to stay secure. With this being so basic, it is going to be a lot lighter of a belt, so it's not going to have as much weight and it's not going to be bouncing around as much. With the back clear, this is going to be more comfortable sitting in cars. You're not going to have anything pushing against the back of the seat, kind of making you curve back at the upper half of your body at an angle. Since the front's being clear, when you lay down in a prone position, nothing's going to get in the way. Daily Strategic did put out their new D3 belt, which they made improvements upon this belt. I chose specifically not to go with that because there was unanswered questions. They tailor their equipment more towards military or law enforcement guys. It had a D-ring up front, which I didn't care for. They also had some of the excess, about this much, on the left side of the belt. What I was not willing to test and try out or have not work is that the belt is not actually 2 inches. It is 1.85 inches, or it'd still be 0.15 inches of slack for the 2-inch Safariland. Safariland only makes these in 1.75 or 2-inch openings. When using a passive retention holster, since these screws put pressure on the gun to keep it in the holster, depending on how tight or loose you have it, it could potentially pull the entire holster system up, starting with the UBL, and it would move it up and down because of that extra 0.15 inches. If you have the belt really tight around your waist, it could possibly put enough pressure on the Safariland mid-ride to where it wouldn't pull up and down, or if you had the screws decently loose to where it's not super tight on your gun and you can get a really easy draw out, it could potentially not move that up and down. That seems like a lot of variables and trial and error to see if it would work with my specific setup, to where I didn't want to take the chance. If you got the 1.75 inch opening on the UBL, you could possibly modify it to the size of the belt, sand it down to where it's smooth. That's another trial and error thing, and I personally try not to modify equipment as much as possible. They might have changed it to 1.85 inches to slim down on weight, but to create a problem with the most common holster attachment system and then not even have a solution for it, I think is pretty ridiculous. The way they market it is by using the Safariland level 2 or level 3 holsters. It does have the manual thumb quick release where it takes the tension off the gun so you can pull it out, which if you were using a 2-inch UBL, then it has a lot less chance to pull the holster system up and down. You can also use the GBRS mount that has all the different holes and hardware. I personally don't like that mounting system because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different hardware. It's metal and the bottom can dig into your leg a little bit because it's not shaped to the leg. But if it clamps tight enough on the belt, you could potentially use a passive retention holster with that, being that the 2 screw clamps on the back side would smash down hard enough. I do also think they're phasing out of this belt because they released the new D3 belt, which is a shame. Mag pouches, the Esstac KYWI, are my favorite. I've been using them for a very long time. They do a good job retaining the mag. They're very easy to draw from, very easy to reinsert the mag. It does have a durable construction with a nylon finish to it. I got the Molle backing because this is a Molle belt, but you can get them with belt loops or different attachment methods. One that's commonly seen is 2 pistol and a rifle. The reason I like 2 pistol and 2 rifle is because with this configuration, you can practice reloads, and most of the time in training or competition, they don't allow you to have the gun loaded or a magazine in the gun. So when you come up to make ready or to start the drill, your gun is empty. So then you have to pull from a mag pouch. Most of the time it's going to be on your belt. Then you have one more mag on your belt to be able to do that reload. It's common to see having a 3rd pistol mag pouch. Some people have them up front on the 45-degree angle. I personally don't use those because this is not a specific competition belt. It does have the plastic insert which covers both sides. It's flexed out at a bit of a curve, which is what provides tension and friction to hold the mag in place. Not gonna have any problems with these flying out, especially with them being mounted vertical. It has a little Velcro on the back. You can pull these out, heat them up, and then reform them so they're back to that strong tightness that you had when you got them new. A really smooth insert because they're new. It's a little bit more tough, all in the short length, is because with the rifle mags, it allows you to get a good grip on the magazine to be able to pull out and insert into the gun. This is a 21 rounder and it gives me a good amount to be able to grab onto. If you're using 15s or 17s, they'll stick up a little bit, but you can still grab onto them. These are close together and it looks like it would be difficult to grab the mag, but when the belt is circular around your body, it provides gaps right in the middle, so it makes it easier to grab the mag. They do make gap pouches, which has a little space in between. This can make it a little bit easier to grab the magazine, but because the spacing's a little bit wider, it doesn't line up correctly with the exterior Molle slots. A solution to be able to use those gap pouches on a standard Molle belt is using one wrap or Haley Strategic's mandible straps. Instead of mounting to the exterior Molle, you can one wrap around the belt itself. It still has Velcro to where it adheres to the exterior. Those straps allow you to space things more evenly. If you don't want the connected pouches, you can get individual pouches and then you can space them out a little bit more to where it's easier to grab your rifle mags. Not a big problem grabbing these mags. I just like all the mags put together on a sleek side, and it keeps the back and my front clear for different movements. I was a little unsure with the mandible from Haley Strategic and the one wrap with it adhering to this and to my interior belt. They are supposed to last a good amount of time and be decently durable. If I chose one, I would definitely go with the Haley Strategic mandibles, but these Molle Fight Light Malice clips are more durable. They do last longer. These are the short clips to use with the short mag pouches. They do a great job of holding it. They're really light, and it's a great attachment system that has almost no movement. T.REX Arms Ragnarok. You're able to mount it in different configurations with different setups. It's reliable, durable, consistent. You can get a nice, clean, and swift draw from it. It has these 3 screws here to where you can adjust the tension on the gun if you want it looser or tighter. This isn't the most ideal for law enforcement, security, or necessarily military for that aspect because it doesn't have a locking system. The level 2 and 3 holsters are a little bit more finicky. They do require more reps and more training to be able to consistently hit that nub and time it right to be able to pull the gun out. There's nothing wrong with those. I do enjoy the Safariland level 2s, but for training and what I'm using it for, I prefer the Ragnarok. And they last for an extremely long time. It does hold in there nice and tight, but when you go to draw it, it's very smooth, and reinserting it is also very smooth. Doesn't have a lot of bulk material. Bottom is open, so any shells or rounds that drop through there, they are going to fall out. Any dust or dirt. Has your little iron sight slot for any type of height iron sight you use. It's a simple and good option that you can't go wrong with. You don't have to use this Safariland QLS system. You can attach the holster directly to the Safariland CUBL or UBL, whichever you prefer. I just like to be able to take the holster off of the Safariland UBL. Sometimes it comes in handy. The main benefit is if you have different guns you're wanting to use on a belt, you can simply just swap out the holster that has this fork on here and slide it back into here. We have the QLS 19. This does have some swivel adjustment, so you can can it a little bit whichever way you want on your body. I like to have the back of the grip and handgun level. QLS 22L. The L stands for locking. You don't have to get the locking one, which is these 2 little nubs right here. You can just get the standard. It doesn't have these 2 little nubs, and it makes taking off the holster a lot easier. These 2 nubs on the locking version provide a little bit more security, so it's not as easy for somebody to pop this off just by pushing these 2 forks and sliding it up to get your gun out. If you get the 22L and you don't like it, you can simply sand or grind these down. It's just plastic. As you can see here, I have to lift up on both of those and then it will slide in and I can push over. To get it off, I'm going to lift up again, push in and push out. Just provides a little bit more security, but it does take 2 hands. One more pro about this is that it provides about a 1/4 inch of standoff from your body. For whatever reason your gun was to go off in the holster, it would be less likely that the round would go into you because that slight bit of standoff. If you're using a level 2 or 3 holster, the 22L would provide enough security to where you're able to run this QLS system without the risk of somebody being able to take it off because of the difficulty of being able to remove it with these nubs here. We then have the Forged Concepts holster leg strap. Currently my favorite T.REX Arms leg strap is another good option. That is fully elastic and it is in the 1.5 inch width. This is in the 1 inch width. It's made mostly from nylon. It does have elastic here, so if the muscles in your thigh were to flex from different movements, it provides enough stretch. It also has a little metal rivet behind this screw here. It allows it to pivot, so if you're getting in and out of cars or just doing different movements, if this screw isn't extremely tight, it will be able to swivel with your body. If you do want to tighten that down further, it's still going to move, it's just not going to swivel right in the middle, which is fine. Has a standard plastic buckle, which is what I prefer, a little bit more lightweight. It's real easy to insert. They do offer a metal Cobra buckle, which I think is overkill on a leg strap. And then they have a plastic keeper on the end for your excess. You can tighten it down or loosen it whichever way you want. I do like this keeper method more. When it's around your leg, it still holds it nice and tight, so there's not a bunch of excess flopping around if you don't want to cut off or burn the rest. Lastly, we have the Safariland QLS mid-ride in the 2 inch opening. Got the 2 inch opening because the belt is 2 inches thick. It provides a nice tight fit, so it's not going to move around at all. The C stands for cantable. If you got the standard UBL, it just has one hole right down here. Gives you the ability to move the holster if you don't have enough movement to adjust it. On the QLS 19, super common option, if not the most common option for attaching a holster to your belt. It's a hard plastic, it's very durable. The mid-ride is the most universal height for most people. It works really well. It's at a good position to draw from the holster. You're not having to hyperextend your arm down to grab it, and you're not super bunched up trying to grab the holster from it being too high up. I've never wanted to change to the low or high ride height. This new design on their UBL and CUBL is a great improvement. It's a lot more comfortable having this smoothed out, making this wider down at the bottom and having it curve away from your body. It used to come down to a point and it would kind of curve inward, so it would jab at my leg a little bit, but this is going to form to the side of the thigh a lot better. More comfortable, you can wear it for longer periods of time. This is a holster setup I would recommend to anyone who wants that basic battle belt, who wants to get into training or even wants to do some competition shooting. I typically build stuff on the self-defense and battle side, and then I will incorporate that equipment when I'm doing my training and even when I'm shooting competitions. Although it's not the most ideal to compete with, I want to be able to use my equipment well rather than conforming all the way to the side of competition, which can go really far with gear and guns. The most important thing about having a leg strap keeps your holster system tight against your body. If you're not using one and this isn't pulling the bottom downwards towards your leg, the holster can actually pull upwards or flare out away from my body, which will make it more difficult to draw, especially if I'm trying to draw inward. It helps with getting consistent draws with the holster not moving. It's going to keep it snug and tight to my leg. If you want to see more videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment, and share to help support the channel, and thank you for watching.